What's going on, golf addicts? It's the Tour Hunkies. I'm sorry, the Tour Junkies. And we are here for the Memorial from Muirfield Village Jack's tournament. We're going to break down all the action. We have a jam-packed show tonight. We're going to cover DFS. We're going to cover betting in a little different segment or format tonight. And we're going to have the putter throw at the end of the podcast. I have something on my heart that I want to get pissed about. Pat, I'm not sure what you've got, but I'm sure you've got something. I'm looking forward to it, man. How you doing? You doing all right after our trip?
I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. Today was a little bit of a struggle for me.
Okay. A little bit of the Hilton Head hangover.
A lot of heat the whole week in Hilton Head. A lot of drinks on my part.
Yeah, so I would say that. Yeah. I would say.
So yeah.
Yeah, you did a good job. We conquered Hilton Head. It was a great time. Hopefully you guys got to see some content on the IG stories. There's a lot of funny stuff there. We had a wonderful time. There's just so much to say about it, but I don't think this is the place. You know what I mean? If you wanted to see it, you follow it on Instagram, and there you go. But I will say this, Hague Point on Defusky Island, right off of Harbor Town in Hilton Head, is the nuts. Okay, so
fantastic.
Highly recommend. We played Hague Point, we played Harbor Town, Oyster Reef, and Palmetto Dunes, the Robert Trent Jones course. And Hague Point, to me, above Harbor Town right here. Harbor Town's in great shape. Got to play it a few weeks after the RBC Heritage, but Hague Point takes the cake for me. What's the podcast shoot tonight, by the way, considering your long weekend of drinking?
Oh, I'm actually drinking. I got some Tito's and a little mixer here. I feel like, I'm just got to stay on brand. But yeah. I don't know if I'll get to Planet Tito's tonight. There's a strong possibility that is not going to happen.
That's probably okay. Yeah. Well, we had a great weekend. I tell you what, we tried to catch up on, but was tough, was the victory of Colin Morikawa yesterday for the Workday Open. An incredible playoff with him and JT. We were watching on our phones, tracking while we were playing. Try to go back and watch some highlights. Can't believe that the playoff was not on TV, on live TV, considering I know there was a weather delay. Can't believe that right there is enough to have a putter throw segment about whatever's going on in contract land between PGA Tour and CBS. But whatever it is, it sucks. It needs to be canceled because the fact that event was not on live TV is criminal. So, but what an awesome finish. JT making a 50-footer on the first playoff hole. Morikawa sinking 24-footer right behind him. Incredible finish. Morikawa, everybody knows this. This is nothing new. Morikawa's been a stud. He is a stud. He's the real deal. He was the real deal before this. This definitely helps solidify in such a stacked field at the Workday. But man, to go toe-to-toe with JT, very, very impressive for Mr. Colin Morikawa.
Yeah, totally agree. He's just an incredible golfer. You did, after he lost, that playoff a couple of weeks ago, I just didn't feel like he was all there. But his game is just tremendous. It's actually the first time it feels like the first time in forever I've done good in a one and done. So I had Morikawa as my one.
All right.
I know we don't talk about it on the show anymore, but actually I submitted him in the one and done, and I finally hit one after forever. But yeah, the dude's just a stud. And all these guys, Victor Hovland, Wolf, all of them, they're just incredible. Hovland is his tee to game. It's incredible right now. Every single week leading the field, strokes gained, tee to green, approach, whatever else it is. And so it's exciting times for golf and DFS. So, and you know what? It's even more exciting this week because we get Tiger back.
Yeah, this week looking to be, I saw something on the World Golf Hall of Fame today. Well, not World Golf Hall of Fame, World Golf Ranking. World Golf Hall of Fame, what?
What?
That basically said that there is, as of this time today that I saw this is a strong likelihood. This is the strongest PGA Tour event in history. Obviously not including majors, but because it's not technically a PGA Tour event, but this is the strongest PGA Tour field in PGA Tour history. This field is stacked. Well, we have 133 players versus 120, but it's still stacked. And as Pat mentioned, yes, we have Tiger back. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to get into it. Man, I got to say, we got a couple of interesting things going on. I want to give some stuff away. But first of all, shout out, because we have had our listeners have had an amazing run since the restart. We had Toe Nose, who still needs to reach out to us. Toe Nose a couple weeks ago, he's got a Tour Junkies avatar, finished second and I think third in the Millie Maker on the RBC here. It won like over $225,000. If you're listening, Toe Nose, reach out to us. We'd like to talk to you. But then we had our boy Scotty D, who we talked about the other week, who won the Pat Mayo Open. He won $25-something thousand. But we had someone reach out to us last week who won the Rocket Mortgage Millie Maker, and he is a brand new listener to the Tour Junkies. Apparently, just started listening for the restart, and did a single bullet in the Millie and in 2 other GPPs, and won close to $1.1 million, and sent us a DM. His name is Josh. He's from Savannah. Pat, I believe you should go and play golf with Josh in Savannah.
I think, you guys need
maybe
to play
some
together. Of his luck will rub off on me too.
That would be Josh. I would take out a life insurance policy as the beneficiary for like $100,000 if you would rub off some of that luck on Pat. I would do that for you.
Hey, reach out to me. Even though you just won $1 million, I'll pay for everything. I'll pay for your drinks, golf,
which is weird.
whatever.
Yeah, but yes, we will. Yeah. Definitely, Josh. But he did reach out to us on Instagram. We need to set that up. But man, thank you, Josh, and repping Tour Junkies, man, telling us that he just started listening. So I know we got a lot of new listeners since the restart. People are itching for sports to come back, and the fact that we're seeing people with that much success is crazy. I see in the YouTube live chat another listener, Brent Turner, won $23,000 a couple weeks ago. We got all kind of people winning money in the DFS streets. We hit Daniel Berger at 70-1 to kick off the whole thing at Colonial. It's been a great restart, and we appreciate everybody following along with us. Now, that being said, I have a giveaway. I think this will be a fun idea, and this is going to be an indefinite giveaway. I think this could be a lot of fun. We've done things in the past where if you have the Tour Junkies avatar on DraftKings or FanDuel or both, which you can go and download on tourjunkies.com. If you click the little menu, you can go to avatar and you can download one of 3 different Tour Junkies avatars that we prefer. But if you want to mix it up, if you've got some of them Photoshoppery skills, you may do that. But if it's got Tour Junkies, right? If you have the avatar, in the past, we've said, hey, if you finish, top 3, top 10 in a GPP, we'll send you a driver. We'll send you some merch, whatever. But I think we do something different, Pat, because it is kind of tough when, guys win or they place really high and they win all this money, and then we give them free stuff like that. That's kind of sucks. They should be buying stuff from us. So, but here's what we're going to do. I want to see some bubble boys. This is the idea I have. Pat, I haven't even run this by you.
No,
I want to see some bubble boys. So if you enter a GPP, any kind of tournament with let's say 1,000 entries or more, okay? If it's got 1,000 entries or more, and you have a Tour Junkies avatar, and you're on the bubble at the end of Sunday, meaning you are the last person to not get paid, okay? Or maybe you were then like the 3 to not get paid. Okay, so you're like right here. You see all the green right here. There's the people in the green, and you're right here. If you're that person, screenshot it at the end of Sunday, send it to us, and we'll hook you up with some sweet stuff. Okay, as a way to say, hey, thanks for repping it in the streets. Sorry you lost on DK, but you're winning in life. Here's a gift from the Tour Junkies. You know what I mean? I think that could be fun, because I was on the bubble this past weekend in a big contest. And I know I would have liked it if somebody would have done that for me.
Yeah.
What do you think, Pat? What do you think about that idea? That's half baked right here.
There's a lot of processing going on here, because it's like, hey, you're supporting us, wearing that, repping the avatar, but you didn't win. So, but I get you. You're trying something a little bit different. So
a little different, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now that being said, if you win a big contest and you got our avatar up there, I mean, you screenshot it to us and say, hey fellas, look, I mean, we may be like, dude, that's awesome. Here's this, So, I mean, We love seeing that. All I'm saying is it would be great if you guys, would use the Tour Junkies avatar. It helps us a lot. It's something free that you can do that doesn't really cost you anything, and it helps spread the word for us, and it helps support us, and it's a way to kind of say thanks for what you do for us. Let me rep this in the streets. Now, don't go sucking, okay? Don't go sucking. But we all have those weeks. It is what it is. But
don't forget to set a lineup and then have have TJ all the way at the bottom, 0 points.
Now, I want to go over one more little bit of housekeeping that is very important, especially for Nut Hut members. And if you're not a Nut Hut member, last week we had a scenario that happened that probably 18% of people would have been impacted by in most GPP tournaments, but it's something we need to talk about. Last week on this show and in the Chalk Bomb, we talked about our good friend Joel Damon, who we really love. Love Joel, love him. Great golfer. He's going to be a staple on the PGA Tour for years to come. We love Gino, his caddy. We love their wives are amazing. The whole thing. The dog, Joel's dog, is amazing. But anyway,
Joel's mother-in-law is amazing.
Mother-in-law is especially amazing.
Yeah.
That's a good call there, buddy.
Yeah.
You would remember that. You have anyway. Long story short, without going into too much detail, this is why you are a Nut Hut. One of the reasons why you should be a Nut Hut member. Late on Wednesday, some information was disseminated in the Nut Hut by Pat that may have led people to take Joel out of their lineups, or if you had not already placed your bets, not include him on your betting card. And then Joel proceeded to just not play well at all. He was 17% owned across most GPPs on DraftKings and FanDuel, and he clearly missed the cut and did not play well. So this is why, things very much change in the world of golf. Okay. This is not, the NFL, for example. It's like you can listen to an NFL podcast on a Thursday, and most of that information, not a lot of things are going to change except for maybe ownership projections, right? So much can change in the world of golf. And that's one reason why being a Nut Hut member is something that will benefit you, because we get a lot of information from people on the grounds on these courses week to week that we will share carefully in the Nut Hut and only in the Nut Hut that will help you. So, it's not going to happen every week, but if something like last week happens once every 60 days, it probably more than pays for your membership. If you get that person out or in your lineup based on some of the things we say. So I just want to throw that disclaimer out there. And to the Nut Hut members who missed the message, we are trying to figure out a way that we can pin messages to the top or whatever. We know that there was some people that just missed it because there was so much chat going on and the history only goes so far. So we're working on it. But all that to say, if you're not a Nut Hut member, last week was a fantastic example of why you should be. And it's only $10 a month or $90 a year to join. And there's other benefits, fringe benefits. So there you go. I think that I feel like that was something that was needed to be said, needed to be talked about tonight, Pat.
I agree. And hopefully most of you Nut Hut members did listen to what was said. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about DraftKings tonight. We're also going to talk about betting on DK Sportsbook. But thank you to DraftKings, because they are wanting to help us help you and get a little message out tonight. They want you to grab your nuts, your peanuts, and your popcorn, because baseball is back. That's right. The boys are getting back on the diamond this week. And while we may not be able to join them at the park live, there is plenty of action to be had from the comfort of your home. DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports, is going to put you on the field with a shot to play risk-free for a shot at hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's right. I said hundreds of thousands of dollars, not thousands of hundreds. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy baseball is easy to play. You just pick 10 players, stay under the salary cap, pile up points for hits, runs, strikeouts, and more. There's no better way to put your baseball knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at hundreds of thousands of dollars. But if baseball isn't for you, don't worry. DraftKings is offering plenty of fantasy golf action, which is what we're here to talk about for the Memorial. With millions of dollars up for grabs this week, there is no better place to have skin in the game than with DraftKings. Here, I'm going to call some action. Everybody ready? I'm about to call some action. If you're wondering what the action is, I'm about to call it out. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code Tour Junkies to get a free shot at a share of the millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit. That is promo code Tour Junkies to get a free shot at a share of millions of dollars with your first deposit only at DraftKings. The minimum $5 deposit is required. Eligibility restrictions do apply. And see DraftKings.com for details. Thank you, DraftKings. And there you go.
Great job, DV.
That was a very solid ad read.
That was a very solid ad read. Like, I wish I could do it that solidly. I can't. But we all know that. We know that.
That's why you don't do them. Which is why you don't do them.
Yeah.
It wasn't flashy. I've definitely had more flashy ad reads, like the Roman ad reads or whatnot. No free ads, but I felt like that was a solid one. That was like a stand-up double. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was about like I can hit a bump and run.
Oh god.
For the most part. For the most part.
Oh god.
Except for when Anyway.
When you can't in your hand. Okay. Let's talk, Pat. Now we did the course breakdown and the key stats last week for Muirfield. Let's hit it a little bit, reiterate for those that may not have heard last week, maybe just joining us because they think it's Tigers in the field, so now they're playing again for the first time. Let's talk about Muirfield Village, Jack's course in Dublin, Ohio. Let's talk about the subtle differences we may see this week versus last week, and how do you apply last week's results, performance, whatever? How are you approaching that? I have my thoughts on that, but let's just talk through that real quick before we get into the picks.
All right, so yeah, we are at Muirfield Village Golf Club again this week for the Memorial in Dublin, Ohio. It is a par 72 playing just over 7,400 yards. We got 133 players in this event, like you mentioned. The reason for that is because this has invitational status. So I believe that means a little more FedEx Cup points involved. PGA Tour would probably love me mentioning that. T65 and ties for the cut. This is a Jack Nicklaus design. The greens are bent grass with a little bit of POA. They are extremely undulating greens, which is what you would expect from Jack. You know, he loved playing Augusta National. That's what they have there. So when he built this course, I think he had a lot of those features in mind. But it is a traditional par 72 with 4 par 5s. They play 527, 563, 583, and 560. You got 4 par 3s. These are very tree-lined fairways, but pretty wide fairways. I think if you get down into it, it's, all right, so how is this course really going to play different from last week? I'll mention 11 holes have water in play. So you do have some trouble that you can definitely get into. And I do think you need to avoid the big numbers out here. We saw it last week. This is a second shot golf course. Fairways are wider than the normal, pretty easy to hit. Here's one of the things though, that I thought was a little bit different than what we were told. The rough looked a little bit thicker and more penal last week than I thought it would be. If you did miss the fairway, you were in some trouble. If you're just watching Shot Tracker, I saw several guys miss the fairway and then their next, they literally just bump it out 100 yards, and then their next shot was a 70 or 80 yard shot into a par 4. They're going to have that rough up even more this week. So I think that while hitting a fairway isn't as key this week as it might be on a tighter course like the one we just played, Harbortown, you still got to hit these fairways, and the rough is going to be even more penal. They're going to let it go. They're not going to cut it, I think. Or if they do cut it, they're going to have it a little bit thicker than it was last week. And then the greens are going to be way different this week. I think they're going to be a lot faster. I think they're going to roll them. They're going to be rolling at least 12, 13 on the stump. That's a big difference than where they, when they were the last week. So I think that's going to be huge. So as far as stats, I'm very similar to what I'm looking at. As far as what I was looking at last week, strokes gained approach, I think is going to be important. Scrambling is going to be important. Hitting those greens in regulation, bogey avoidance, I think more so. We're not going to see the scoring we saw last week. I don't believe we're going to get somebody at 19, 20 under. I just don't see that at all. And then I'm going to be looking at putting on bent as well. So if you look at the past champions, I'm going to say Morikawa first.
Yeah. Yeah.
which may give you a little hint as to what I'm thinking on what somebody might have done last week versus this week. But Patrick Cantlay in 2019, Bryson in 2018, Jason Duffner in 2017, Dirt McGirt in 2016, and then Lingmer 15, Hideki 14. So a lot of different styles of play have won this tournament. But there is, like you said at the beginning of the show, it's such a strong field. Now, they typically do get a strong field here. Not as strong as it is this week, but it's always pretty strong. So, but I do think there's a little bit of a strategy change because of that. I don't think you would normally see Tiger, for example, in this field at $9,000, which shows you how strong it is. So just kind of my initial thoughts on the course. I think it's going to play beautiful. I think it's going to play tougher, though, is what I think this week.
Yeah, I think it could be a little tougher if the green's a little quicker, rough a little higher. I mean, we still saw Patrick Cantlay play this event last year and shoot 19 under. So I think 19, 20 under is still doable. I mean, I don't think it's going to be over. I doubt it would be over 20, but I think it's going to be doable.
I agree. I just think they're going to try to throw these guys for a little bit of a loop. I think they're going to, especially the ones that played it last week. I think
they already know the pin placements are going to be different because they said they were going to protect the traditional pin placements on the greens for Memorial. So they know it's going to be different. Yeah. I don't think there's any loops to be thrown really. I just think the guys just know, okay, the rough's probably not going to get cut. The greens are going to be quicker and that's it. Like, and I just don't, that's the other thing I was going to talk about in terms of an approach to this week. I'm not really waiting necessarily. Like, I'm not going to ding a guy who otherwise I would want to play because he didn't play the workday. Okay. I'm not going to do that. I'm also not going to overhype performance at the work. I'm not going to treat the performance at workday that much different than I would treat the performance the week before any event at a completely different golf course. I think it matters a little bit.
I think you do. I actually don't think you add any extra importance to it. I think you think of it as recent form, even though it was the same course, but I think you just think of it as recent form.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Yeah. And in terms of like, obviously we saw what it takes to play well. And in this field, listen, for DFS purposes, to me, the number one thing this week is ownership leverage. Again, it's ownership leverage. I care more about that. And we'll rattle off stats and stuff like that. We don't spend a whole lot of time trying to project ownership levels on the podcast on a Monday night because they're going to change a lot. There's no point in doing that. That's what the Chalk Bomb email is for. That's what the Nut Hut chat is for on Wednesday when we have a better idea. But in terms of DFS, I think ownership leverage is key because this is a cream of the crop field. There are a ton of very capable players to win this golf tournament. And we've seen, like you said, even in very strong fields, we've seen interesting names win. David Lingmerth, William McGirt. Like, we've seen plenty of interesting names hit here. It's not always just the studs. So, I think there's a ton of players that actually have a legitimate chance to win this golf tournament. So I'm not going to get too bogged down with stats, especially if two guys are close. I think ownership leverage in tournaments is key. Now, from the betting perspective, obviously it comes down to value on, in terms of odds, win equity, and how your gut, how you feel like things are matching up. But it's going to be an interesting week. It's going to be an awesome week with Tiger back. He moves the needle for sure. A lot more people watching, a lot more people playing DFS. He impacts the betting market significantly. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, there's a lot going on, and I'm excited about it. That being said, I do think recency bias, if we're still talking strategy, I think recency bias is definitely something to be aware of. I made note of a few things. I think these players that performed really well last week are obviously going to get a recency bias that's going to tend to trend them up. If we're talking about DFS, going to drive their ownership up. If we're talking about betting odds, maybe it shortened those odds a little bit more than typically. But obviously Patrick Cantlay, who had an incredible run on the weekend, who's defending champ from last year. He was the highest owned player last week. He was around 27% owned in most contests. He's going to go up. Woodland's going to go up. Victor Hovland's going to go up. Morikawa is obviously going to go up. JT's obviously going to go up. And I even think Xander's going to pop up a little bit in terms of people going, okay. So I think those guys are going to be, players that are going to be really popular. Now, there are a number of people who pissed off a lot of people that were owned highly. We'll get to some of those here in just a little bit. Hideki's one that comes to mind right up at the top, who were owned a little higher and probably disappointed. He finished tied for 22nd, but he finished 42nd in birdies. So in terms of DraftKings scoring, not so great. And then you've got 6 names who this is their 6th event in a row. Now, 6 key names. There may be more. But Sung J M, shocker, Victor Hovland, Matt Wolff, Patrick Reed, Harold Varner, and Sepp Straka. 6 names who this will be their 6th event in a row. They have played every event since the restart. Obviously, him, Hove, Wolff, pretty young guys. HV3, pretty young guys. Straka's pretty young guy. Reed's your old veteran there. Hovland definitely showed no signs of slowing down last week. So do with that what you will. Really, but 6 events in a row is a lot of events. That's a lot of golf. Okay.
The one I think that would affect the most would be Patrick Reed, just because I'm surprised that he's done that 6 weeks in a row. Maybe he's just trying to get away from Justine. Like, she's not traveling with him, maybe. And so he's just like, oh, this is great. I'm having a great time. He could
be so lucky. He could be so lucky. All right, let's get into it, Pat. Let's get into the DraftKings picks and DFS. Let's start off the 10K the 9K and above range. We're going to lock in 3 GPP or tournament plays, a cash game favorite for 50-50s and double ups, and then a fade, in other words, a player to avoid in this category. Now, there aren't a lot of guys in here that I'm going to, say like you should not play them. So it's hard to narrow down 3. It's hard to, pick 3 here, especially on Monday. So I feel like I have to say this, like, depending on how accurate my predictions are of who's going to be chalk, who's going to be popular and who's not, this could change. But there are only really two names in here that I really don't like, and I probably don't see myself having any of. But the rest of them are pretty solid. I think you got to go with what you like. So I guess I'll start, Pat. I am going to roll with. I'm going to go back to Bryson. I'm going to go back to Bryson. It's shocking to me that he is $400 more than Rory McIlroy yet again. I still am having a hard time seeing that on paper. But at 11-1, which if you don't play DraftKings golf a lot, that's kind of soft pricing for the highest price guy
a little bit,
in the field. And I
almost had to do that though with this field.
Yeah, yeah. I just want it. He's won this event before. Everything is still firing on all cylinders. Everything. There's no reason for me to avoid him at 11-1. If he was 11-6, 7, which I think he could have fairly been priced at, then maybe not. But yeah, I think you're right. With this stacked of a field, it's hard to do. So I'm going to play Bryson. I love Rory at 10-7, and the upside that you get there with him at 10-7. Rory McIlroy is Rory McIlroy. There's nothing that really needs to be said about that. And then finally, I'm going to go back to the well with Xander Schauffele, who did play pretty well last weekend on his way to a T14. His greens in regulation are top 10 in this field since the restart. Driving distance, top 10 in the field since the restart. Putting is top. Strokes gained putting, top 10 in the field since the restart. He's hitting enough fairways. His iron play is good. He's got to chip it a little better. But if he can, if he can keep dialing in with the irons, he can keep doing his thing. And at 9,200, I love the value that Xander presents. Now, Xander was one of those names I feel like is going to get a bump in ownership due to the recency bias. He was 15% owned in the Millie last week and 11% owned in the $555 single entry. If that gives you any idea in terms of ownership, I do think that's going to jump up a touch, not much because it's going to get pretty diluted in the stacked field, but I do think it goes up just a little bit. I think my cash play is going to be Patrick Cantlay. I love Cantlay in any format. I do think he's going to be yet again a top 2, 3 highest owned player in this field, especially considering that yeah, again, defending champ, $9,800, T7 last week. He's got a T11 in his first event back since the restart. Cantlay's a lock for me. And then my fade, I think the easy fade is for me is still Brooks Koepka. I faded him last week. You tried to talk me out of it. He missed the cut. He had a good Friday, but this is the thing with Brooks Koepka. And this is what I said last week. He's shown a lot of inconsistency. He's whether it's round to round or even tournament to tournament, there's just been a lot of inconsistency. Does he have winning upside? Of course he has winning upside. Like, he will always be I think he's a killer. So if he's playing well, like, watch it. He's not afraid of anybody in the field, including the trash he's been talking to Bryson. But I want to see more consistency. So I think, to me, he's the easier fade. I have another one, but I'm going to save it. I'm going to see what you say. So that's my 9K and above range.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Brooks needs to stop talking crap to Bryson and do something about his own game. Well, the
irons still aren't good.
I'll save my fade then, since there's some thought that that I'm going to have a fade that you love. So anyway, we'll start with this. I'm actually surprised. We have zero, besides one. We have zero of the same players in this.
We have zero besides one. Okay. So that means we have one.
So we have one similar player.
We have zero besides one.
Besides one. Well, you'll know. Anyway, forget it.
Hashtag math.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with DJ at 10-3. I think he's a great play this week. He's coming off a win at the Travelers, where he was highly owned. He was around 20%, but he was in a lot weaker field than he's in this week. But we've really seen DJ's game just come around, a lot more. I mean, he started off the year kind of rough, but I mean, he's 26 of the approach right now. He's, 9th strokes gained tee to green, checks the box in proximity. He's always kind of erratic off the tee, but I don't think it's going to matter as much for him. I think DJ is a great place, is in a great spot right there between Rory and Colin Morikawa. I love it at 10-3. I'll be interested to see where his ownership is, but big fan of DJ this week. So I like him in GPPs at 10-3. A guy that I thought you were going to mention, I was very surprised you didn't, for GPPs, and he was less than 10% owned last week, and that is Jon Rahm at 9,300. Now, look, Jon Rahm's game has been all over the place lately, but I think he found a little bit of something last week. He gained 4.3 strokes on approach in Sunday's round, where he shot 64 here. That is the best strokes gained approach round he has had. I only went back to the beginning of the season, and I know we had the long break, but that's one of the best he's had in a long time. So I think he may have found a little bit of something on Sunday, and at 9,300, and if he's pretty low owned, I'm okay with that. He putts well on bent grass. He's 24th in the field if you look over the last 100 rounds putting on bent grass greens. So if I can get a less than 10% owned Jon Rahm, I'll be all about it. Even though he has been inconsistent. I mean, he's been not like he started the year where he was on fire, but I like Jon Rahm at 9,300, so he will be another tournament play of mine. Before I give my other GPP, I'm going to give my cash play, and I'm going with Victor Hovland at 9,500. The stats are ridiculous. I've mentioned that. I don't even need to say. I mean, it's like second in approach, first tee to green, 6th proximity.
It's unreal.
It's just unreal. The only thing we do know has been, kind of off is obviously his scrambling is the one thing he really does struggle with. But actually, if you look over his last 12 rounds, he's 20th in the field in strokes gained around the green. So he's improving there as well. I think he's a great cash play. You could play him in GPPs also. I do think his ownership's going to be high. But definitely a big fan of Victor Hovland this week. My fade is going to be Brooks Koepka, just like you. I think you turned to me last week, and I just don't know. The inconsistency is it's just so hard to say that you can confidently play Brooks Koepka in any cash GPP or whatever. We obviously know he's got, talent to just unload on the field and do really well. But I'm not confident in him this week, so I'm not going to play Brooks Koepka. My other GPP play, and I don't care what people say, they can talk about the public money and all that kind of stuff that comes along with it. But freaking Tiger Woods is one of the best golfers in the world. Today, he was 3 months ago, 6 months ago. Tiger Woods at 9,000. I love him this week. And we haven't seen, now look, we don't know what's going to happen because this is the first time he's come back since the pandemic. But when he was playing early in the year, we were getting pretty low ownership from him. I mean, it was around like, less than 15%. So I think it's going to be a little bit higher this week, but I am going to play Tiger. We've seen him in some of these exhibition things, and we've seen some, if you look at some of the, on Twitter and whatever else, the dude's striking the ball extremely well. So I will have some Tiger Woods at 9,000 this week. And he's won this tournament 5 freaking times.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, incredible record here at Jack's Place. And I don't think Tiger's one that you worry about coming off of a long gap of not playing, because that's what he's been doing for like 2 years now. He goes long stretches without playing and then comes back and he's ready. He's not, oh, I need to have a tournament round to get in shape like we saw, a lot of people have to do when the restart happened. Like, I'm not worried about that for him. I was hoping he'd bring up Tiger. He's another one that, like you said, like I don't mind. Like, and I might have some of them. And I think you're right. I think he could be a little lower than people expect. Now, we'll talk about betting here in a little bit, but from a betting perspective, I don't know that I like betting Tiger because you do always get if you play him in DFS, what you have to fight is the potential over leverage, over ownership, right? Because people want to play Tiger, but at least you're paying down for him. You're only paying $9,000, so you don't have to pay a lot for him. You just have to deal with potentially higher owned Tiger. In the betting market, he's so short because the public money always comes in that, to me, the odds aren't what his real odds should be. Although he's Tiger, so who knows? But I don't mind the Tiger play whatsoever. And I actually see what you. So DJ was one that I had written down if I didn't go Bryson. I like DJ, and you kind of helped me work through Rahm a little bit. I had Rahm last week. Rahm hurt me last week. Even though he had a good Sunday, he still hurt me. And I was kind of ready to just kind of go, meh. But I think you kind of reminded me of how good he played on Sunday. And then looking at the strokes gained approach numbers over the last few weeks, he has been really struggling with that. And so maybe if something did click, then that's good. That's really good for Rahm. And he was low owned last week. I mean, he wasn't very, he was 11% owned in the Millie last week. I mean, I don't see that going up at all. And then you get a player like John Rahm at 10%. So that's a good thing. I think that's something to look at. You look at ownership projections for DFS on Wednesday night, and you look at how many of these big names up top are projected at 11, 10%, 12% or less. And those are guys I would start looking at because leverage in the field is going to mean a lot this week. All these guys up top are so neck and neck. I think almost anyone here could win this thing. So in terms of DFS, that's going to make a big deal.
Yeah.
Interesting range there with with the 9K and above. All right, let's get to the 8K range. Oh man, I actually really like this range. We're going to pick 2 tournament plays, GPP plays, 1 cash lock and 1 fade. I really like this range. I could see myself having a mixture of lineups that are kind of studs and duds, a couple guys 9K and above. I start there, but I could also see some lineups where I fade that entire range and I start here with a more balanced approach because I really think there's some names here that can contend, can win, are in good form. And I'm going to start with Daniel Berger at 8,700. The Berg got me that 70-1 payout at the Schwab. Then he finished 3rd at the Heritage. This boy is on fire. Okay. He's on freaking fire. He checks every box needed to play here. I think Berger is a lock, and I'll eat the chalk if that's what it takes, if that's what he becomes. And then I think a forgotten man is because we haven't seen him in a couple weeks is Abraham Answer. I love Abe Answer at 8,500, an incredible tee to green player. Since the restart, he is first in the field in strokes gained approach, 8th in greens and regulation, 8th in fairways gained, 9th in 3-putt avoidance, which you're going to need to have on these undulating Nicklaus fast bent grass greens. Love Abe Answer here. He's been hot since the restart. Doesn't have a great history here, but Abe Answer's a new player. Like this guy, something has changed for him in the last six to 8 months. So I think he's a new player, and he's
I don't actually think the history is. I mean, even though it's not great, a T65 and a T57 for a guy like you just mentioned that's as young as he is, he made the first 2 cuts that he played here. He's probably learned a little bit from the course. So I don't even know if that's like, I mean, you could really even go off of that too much. I mean, it's not terrible. It's just that he made the cut his first 2 events here and just didn't, top 10 it. But I agree. I think he's a good play. I like him.
My cash play is going to be Tony Finau. Got a tremendous record at Memorial. Just shot a 59 with a bogey wherever he was in Utah, I believe it is. So he's obviously been practicing a little bit, playing a little bit. We saw him at the Rocket Mortgage. Didn't do great. Hadn't done great, really, since the restart. But he comes to a place at Memorial where guys that love Memorial tend to play well at Memorial. And he has played well at Memorial. And at 8,300, he can take advantage of these par 5s. I think Finau, he's chipping really well right now. Since the restart, he's actually chipping great. I think Finau is an interesting cash play. Now, a lot of people are gonna want to know about tournament play for Finau, and we'll see. He's getting a lot of love, a lot of Twitter love because of his recent post where he posted a 206 mile an hour swing speed and a 386 yard carry on a flight scope, where he simply took his backswing from shoulder height to like head height and was ripping bombs 386 yards. But we'll see how it goes in terms of the ownership leverage. But I like Finau, I like Berger, and I like Answer the most in this range. I got to continue to fade Sung J M. Something's up. His wires are crossed. He's got a short somewhere. This is his 6th event in a row. It's just not there. So I don't want to get cute. I don't want to try to play Sung Jae.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could easily just see him make the cut, but do like what he's been doing.
Yeah.
58th, 59th or something. I mean, like that's what I think you're going to get out of him. And I just don't see a whole lot of positive to him. I agree. He wasn't my fade, but I do agree.
All right, what you got?
All right, so there is some agreement here for sure. So I kind of readjusted in my mind some of these plays, but I do like Berger, but I had him in cash. So I actually like Berger in cash at 8,700. It certainly could play him in GPPs as well, but I just think he's so solid right now. If you're looking for just that guy that you can plug in and build around, that's going to make, has tremendous win upside, but also, top 15, top 10 upside. Berger certainly fits that, and you can get him at 8,700, right along that medium price range. So I like him in cash. I like Ricky Fowler again this week at 8,800. I think we're steadily seeing him improve. I mean, you look at his recent results. He was, 22nd last week. He was 12th at the Rocket Mortgage after missing 2 cuts in a row. But to start the season, I mean, I think it took him a little while to get in a little bit of a groove. And if you do look at his stats, they're starting to improve. He's starting to get it a little bit. He's 20th in scrambling. He's 28th strokes gained tee to green. He's 40th in proximity. His greens and regulation have picked up. He's 27th in this field. Whereas if you looked at that before, like at the beginning of the year when like Ricky was really struggling, he couldn't hit a freaking green to save his life. He's like me. I mean, he's not like me at all, actually. But you know how I can't hit a green and then I just scramble my ass off from there. Like that's what Ricky was doing from the beginning. But I like Ricky at 8,800. I think he's a good play there for tournaments. As far as my fade, I'm going to fade Justin Rose still. He's Brooks Koepka for me in this range, and he could totally do well, and he could prove me wrong, but I just don't see him doing that. I mean, we haven't seen him playing that well lately. Now he does, and I'm sure this is what you're going to mention. He has a fantastic course history here. I mean, he was 13th last year, T6 before that, second before that. But I'm I just can't. I mean, he's missed his last 2 cuts in a row. I'm not a big fan of Justin Rose. Now, I might look at him later in the week. He's one of those guys, like if I look at him later in the week and he's getting like 6, 7, 8% love on the ownership, I may throw some Rose in my lineup. But right now, as we sit here on Monday night, he will be my fade this week. I liked, by the way, and this is just kind of extra too, I did like your pick on Finau. And you know what? There is a chance that I'm going to throw some gambling down here on Jason Day in DFS after a T7 finish. He's the one guy that I would really say that looking at last week, I might play him more than because of what he did last week with a T7 finish. We know he's a great scrambler. You know, he lives in the Ohio area now. He's done well on this course in the past. For the most part. I mean, he missed a cut last year, but he was Jason Day. So I think he's going to get low ownership. I mean, let's see what he was last week. 3.7% owned. Now, he hasn't been over his highest ownership in this whole, since we came back from the pandemic is 8%. And that was just because everybody forgot. Like, that's when Spieth was like 25% or 20%, and everybody just forgot about all these problems that everybody had. But I just think that, I don't know, I like seeing the top 10 out of Jason Day. And if I'm probably going to still get him a little bit, in that 5-6% owned, I may throw him in some lineups.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We did have a funny comment about on YouTube Live about your love for Ricky Fowler. John Neighbors said, of course, Pat loves Ricky Fowler. Does Pat have orange Puma underwear on currently? So answer for the people. Do you currently have orange Puma underwear? And you must tell the truth.
No. And obviously those people, whoever asked that does not know me.
Well, no, he doesn't, Pat, because you're just on a podcast he listens to. So chill. Yeah. Guys, Pat has gotten so sensitive in his old age. You have no idea. Pat, why don't you start the 7K range for us? 3 tournament plays, a cash play, and a fade.
All right. So I'm going to start up near the top, and I like some Mark Leishman this week at 7,800. I mean, look.
Okay, so he's one I wrote down as a guy, a key name that pissed some people off last week.
A lot of people off last week by missing the cut.
He was 12 to 15% owned, 12% in the Millie, 15% in the 555. He missed it by 6 shots.
Yes. So he was, and he hasn't really played, to be honest, he hasn't played great lately other than, a second way back at the Arnold Palmer, which was a long time ago when you think about it. But, he's a little bit more of a gut play for me this week. If you look at, his stats, he's a guy that I do think can play this course well. Hang on. Where am I? Anyway, he's 16th in the field in strokes gained approach, 35th tee to green, 35th in proximity. He's top 20 in bogey avoidance. And if you look at his history here, it's very good. Which, why the heck did that come off my screen?
Wow.
Sorry. Anyway, if you look at he's made his last 5 cuts here. Hasn't finished, 4 of those were in the top 15 with a 5th place last year, T62 the year before that, but then T15 in 2017, T11 and 16, T5 in 2015. So, I mean, the guy comes to this course and plays pretty well. He's gained almost 38 strokes on the field over those last 5 years. I think Leishman could be a good play, and I think you're definitely going to get him a lot at lower ownership with the way that he just absolutely killed everybody. So fan of Leishman, I do like him. My next play, Ian Poulter at 7,600. I think he's I like Poulter this week. Now, he hasn't typically played this course all that much over the last few years because it's just not been one that's been on his rotation. But he finished T5 last week at the workday. So obviously he showed that it's not even though he hasn't played the Memorial itself, he can still play well on this course. You look at the stats for him. We always know he's a tremendous scrambler. checks the box also. And, I like for him, like a guy like him that can hit fairways, hit greens, blah, blah, blah. He's just kind of one of those normal, nobody really ever likes to play Poulter.
He's one of the best scramblers in the world. Easily one of the best up and down players in the world.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it will definitely get, probably pretty bad, pretty low ownership for him. I wrote down something else that looks very important, but I can't read my writing.
Jeez, you're kind of a disaster tonight. Clearly, the Hilton Head hangover is real.
Well, my computer is also frozen up in front of me, so
your brand new computer. You've already effed up the computer that is brand new.
No, I'm not. That's not the one that I'm looking at. I have another one that I look at that's over here. The other one's what's being recorded on. So anyway, I do like Ian Poulter this week. Here, another guy that I think that a lot of people were on right when we started back that I'm kind of liking. This is another gut play is Shane Lowry at 7,200. I like him this week. I think he could be a very good tournament play. You look at his history here. He was 52nd in 2018, top 15 in 2017. Yeah. I think he's just another like a low-owned type guy. Checks a box, strokes gained tee to green, also proximity. I like some Shane Lowry at 7,200. Now, I'm trying to give you names, by the way, too. That I'm not going to give you Corey Connors and Adam Hadwin, who everybody's going to talk about this week. I'm not going to give you, Ben On and Jordan Spieth and Sergio Garcia. Actually, Sergio Garcia is my fade.
So yeah, you love Sergio.
I'll give you Sergio as my fade.
Sergio's your fade, huh? You like
Sergio? He is my fade this week. And I'm not going to give you Joel Damon. There's a lot of guys in this 7K range that I think just get talked up every single week. And I'm trying to find some different folks for ownership purposes. So that is why I'm giving you a guy like Lowry, who I think can play extremely well. Now, if you want a cash play, I will give you a guy that I think a lot of people are going to talk about, and that's Kevin Streelman. Guy's just been playing fantastic. I mean, and you're getting him at 7,600, checks almost every single box. His form is there. So I think that, Streelman is a great cash play this week, and I don't care, probably eating a little bit of chalk there. But he has great history here. He hasn't missed a cut when I'm just looking over the last 5 years with 1, 2, 3, 4 finishes in the top 20, was fourth here last year. So I think Streelman in this range is really like the most obvious play that really jumps out at you as being a guy that I would have a hard time fading, even if ownership is a little bit high on Streelman, which I don't necessarily think it's going to be, but we'll see. I mean,
I think it'll be high for this range, but there's so many names here. You're not going to have a lot of people that are like 15% owned in this range. So
I think you can find a lot of folks that are very like under-owned. Like there's some diamonds in the rough here, which is what I'm throwing out with Lowry, I think, and Leishman.
The leash call is tough, man. Dude has not been in good form at all. We're not talking about a flash like last week. Like he sucked last week and the weeks before that. The Lowry play I can almost get behind a little more than the leash play, but all right. Well, that's interesting. Interesting names there. I'm going to start at the bottom of this range. I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to go with Georgia Bulldog Sepp Straka, who's been playing extremely well the last couple weeks. $7,000. I love the value that I get with Sepp. Coming off a T14 at the Workday, a T8 at the Rocket Mortgage the week before that. Now, Sepp takes advantage of par fives. He's a bomber. He's got some good distance. He checks all the boxes in, your tee to green or off the tee and approach play. Needs to work on the scrambling a little bit in terms of overall game, but he's putting well. He's comfortable. I think he's riding on a lot of confidence. And I love the value and the cut-making opportunity that Sepp gives the people. Then I'm going to go up to Billy Ho. I talked him up last week. I like the way he's playing. He's got a solid record here. He's making the cut, almost week in, week out on tour. He's a ball striking machine. He just needs he just needs the putts to drop. But a T7 last week for Billy Ho. I just think that's a really solid player that is a cut-making player with great upside at 7,500. So I like Billy Ho.
You say cut-making, but before last week, he missed 2 cuts in a row.
Well, yeah, but he's made 15 to 20 since this. I mean, I don't know. He's long term. He's a tremendous cut maker, typically. But yes. All right. This next pick. Well, actually, let me save my final tournament play. I'm going to save my final tournament play. My cash play is Paul Casey. I really like the price of 7,900 for Paul Casey. We saw him make it. He's only made one start since the restart. Okay. Shaking the rust off a little bit, I'm sure, but he still finished 32nd in that event at the Travelers and gained strokes just like Paul Casey does, tee to green in every area, just couldn't putt. But that's what Paul Casey does. So at 7,900, I mean, that's a really solid price for a guy who typically we find in the mid to high eights, sometimes nines. Even in stronger fields, just from a cut making possibility. Now, he could drive you absolutely insane putting, but that's what you live with when you live with Paul Casey. He's going to hit a lot of greens. He's going to hit a lot of balls close. He's going to miss a lot of putts. But I think Casey at 7,900 is a name that gives you real win equity and top 10 equity in that, with a cheap price. So Casey's my cash play. I also love him in tournaments. I'll play him in tournaments too. My fade is Matt Wolff. Again, it's Matt Wolff. I've been preaching this. The guy is too hard to predict. He's too inconsistent. This is his 6th event in a row. Now, he's like 20. I don't even think he can drink yet. But this is his 6th event in a row. Did not play well last week. I think Matt Wolff's a no-go. So Matt Wolff's the fade. Pat, my final tournament play of the week is someone who also falls in the category of guys that piss people off last week. This player, now the general public didn't have a lot of him. The Millie Maker, he was only 12% owned in the Millie. But the Sharps in the $555 contest single entry on DraftKings played this player at 19% and saw him trunk slam. He missed the cut by 2 shots after firing a pretty abysmal opening round on Thursday and trying to storm back on Friday, but it didn't go so well. He's also not played great since the restart. But statistically, he's a pretty good ball striker. And narratively, he absolutely loves Muirfield Village and the Memorial. Who is this player?
Well, I had it until you said that he hasn't played great from the restart, because the guy I was going to say has played fairly well since the restart, because I was going to say Cam Champ, who was very highly owned last week and killed a lot of people. So if you're saying, you said he hasn't played well from the restart?
He is not. He is not. So the player, because I don't want to string this along. The player is Byung-Hun.
Oh gosh.
Whom I was on last week, and he definitely disappointed me. But he is on record for absolutely loving Muirfield Village. He has an impeccable record at said Muirfield Village.
Outside of last week.
Well, yeah, outside, at the Memorial. Here are his last 4 years at Memorial: 17th, runner-up, 25th, and 11th. He's got multiple quotes talking about how much he loves his tournament. I don't think he misses the cut here 2 weeks in a row, and I think he can contend if the ball striking just gets back to like normal. Because what we always see with Byung-Hun is how terrible he putts. But he's always going to putt terrible. But since the restart, we just haven't quite seen the iron play what it normally is. I'm believing that he's close. He was 4 under through the front 9 on Friday, battling back to make the cut. Then he had a tough hole, and then he kind of let it go, and he missed the cut by 2. But as a result of Byung-Hun's horrible week last week, if you remember, which I don't even think you remember because you're not acting like you remember, but maybe you did. You and I had a bet. Byung-Hun
No, I remember the bet for sure.
So I have prepared here for our YouTube viewers. You're seeing this. I have ranch water. Now you can see. Do you see this? This is clumpy and disgusting.
That looks Unbelievably hard. How many bets in a row, by the way, is this that you've lost?
This is at least 3. I think it's 4. Look at that. Do you see that? How gross that is? I also have
the water in between the ranch.
I know it's disgusting. I also have this in case I'm about to vomit. This is courtesy. The ranch water bet was courtesy of our friend Brett Swedberg, caddy for Ryan Moore. Said that he and his buddies like to do ranch water shots and ranch water bets. So here we go. Because I'm a man of my word and I lost Byung-Hun An and against Cam Champ, I'm gonna take this ranch water shot. Whew. And but despite that, I'm going to foolishly put my faith and trust in Byung-Hun An once more after he pissed a lot of people off, and hopefully I get him at ownership. I'm already starting to kind of gag a little bit. Let me aim this way because I don't want a projectile on my laptop or we're all going to be screwed. I love ranch.
I like ranch too. So like this may be better than you think.
I'm seriously like I'm like, I just broke out into a sweat. I wasn't even thinking about it until I just picked it up. And now my palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. You know what I mean? Okay, here we go.
Oh my gosh. Oh no. This could be a
We're down. We're
okay,
down.
Good. Good job, DB. That was fantastic. Not for you, but
no, that sucked, dude. Now, some of the ranch stuck to the bottom, but it is gone.
Okay. 6K range.
I'm sweating. Okay, there are a lot of other names in the 7K range, by the way, that I think I'm definitely going to want to talk about in the Nut Hut come Wednesday. Oh, my God, I feel disgusting right now.
Yeah, I think you could this 7K range is fantastic. I think that's where you're going to make a break a lot of lineups this week. There's a lot of good players down in there. So, and that's, here's the thing. You look at stats, you look at form, you look at history and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of these players, you can go with some gut and just, you're probably going to get them low owned. And
can we not say gut?
Huh? Yeah, I said gut.
Not say gut anymore.
Like you're. All right, so I will start the 6K range since DB is maybe about to throw up. I don't know. I'm going to go.
I came really close.
I'm going to go with Brendan Todd up there at the top at 6,900. A guy who played extremely well at the Travelers until he just had a few blow-up holes on the back nine and finished T11 with the T57 at the Rocket Mortgage. I like him here. I mean, we haven't seen him play Muirfield in a while, but again, that was because he went through all those struggles. But he did it like back in 2015 when he was as good of a golfer as he is now. He finished 17th. So I think Brendan Todd is a really good play at 6,900. Definitely checks the box in. You almost made. I just thought about the ranch shot for a second. Wanted to throw up.
Dude, it was way worse than I thought it was going to be.
Checks the box down here, relatively considering and strokes gained approach. He's 26 in the field in proximity. He is number 1 in driving accuracy, 35th in greens and regulation, 32nd in bogey avoidance. I like Brendan Todd at 6,900. I think he could be like up in that 7,000 range, and we're getting him at 6,900. So I'm a fan of him. A cheaper play, a guy that I just feel like goes under the radar every single week, but at 6,600, Troy Merritt has been playing.
That almost makes me throw up more than the ranch water.
Look, Troy Merritt has been playing extremely well. 22nd last week, T8 at the Rocket Mortgage, T60 at the Travelers, T70 at the Heritage. Okay, fine.
Playing well the last 2 weeks. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're getting him at 6,600. I mean, all you really need is you want to make the cut with a lot of birdies, maybe, and some eagles or whatever. I don't know, but I think it
not too much to ask for old Troy Merritt. I mean, he's a stud.
Well, I mean, it's 6,600. I'm not trying to get him to finish top 10 or maybe even top 25 or top 30. But guess what? He finished 17th here last year. So I think Troy Merritt's a pretty good play at 6,600 for a guy that's, playing well right now, that has good course history here, and that is going to have extreme low ownership. I'm all about it.
I think I have a fever. I think that
Anyway,
ranch gave me a fever. Is that all you have?
6,600. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, I'm going quick here. I'm gonna go. I'm going back to the well with Nick Taylor. He sucked after day one, but he almost hit the first round leader bet. Well, no, he didn't because Morikawa went ballistic. But he came out firing on Thursday. I'm going to Nick Taylor. I'm going Emiliano Grillo for the first time in God knows how long. He'll probably screw me.
I actually like that play. He was on my list. I didn't talk about him, but
I'm going Shez Reavie. This is like team short knocker accurate as all get out in the 6Ks. Because I'm thinking cut maker, not volatile. You got to think a higher percentage of people making the cuts here.
Okay, so even though he hasn't made the last 3 cuts, like for karma purposes, because you just had to take a ranch water shot that was like the information of what a ranch water shot came from Ryan Moore's caddy. Are you not going to play any Ryan Moore?
I may play Ryan Moore. I actually have him written down. I do have him written down, but I will wait until Swedberg tells us what to do. That's what I'll do. But I'm going Nick Taylor, Grillo, Shez, Norlander again, going right back to Norlander. We've been on him for weeks now. And then I'm going to give you a super cheap play. Whew, hold on. I got to scroll.
I feel like this is the ranch water getting to you now.
I got to scroll all the way down to $6,100.
Oh my good Lord.
6,100. But he just finished 17th at the workday. Stuart W. Sink. I don't know if his middle name is W. Starts with a W, but I just felt like it sounded right. Stuart Sink all of a sudden got on these familiar Muirfield greens, and he gained 6 strokes with the putter, 3 strokes on around the greens. He actually gained strokes off the tee, which is stupid. That's how stupid accurate he is. Stuart Sink still has the occasional top 20 in the tank, and at 6,100, that is muy bueno for a guy who loves him some Muirfield Village. So I think
you think about it, since the restart, he's, made 2 of 3 cuts. So
yeah, he's made 4 of the last 5 cuts at Muirfield at Jack's tournament. And that's not actually 5 of the last 6 if you count last week, if you count workday. So it's $6,100. Like, I'll take a gamble on a little Stuart Sink in tournaments. Okay. We ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk some sportsbook stuff. Let's talk some betting. Let's talk some outrights, what we're thinking. I don't want to really get too bogged down here, Pat, in nailing down the picks, because we know things are going to change. There may be a few things in here I really like, but I just want to talk through some of the things we're seeing here early over on DK Sportsbook. Now, what I did find interesting is Justin Thomas is the leading name up here for the outright market at 9.5 to 1. Bryson right behind him, yet Bryson priced more than him in DFS. I just thought that was interesting. Now, I think we got to jump down to Tiger at 26 to 1. I'm not a fan of, I kind of alluded to this earlier. I'm not a fan of betting Tiger at 26 to 1 because they always price him shorter because they know they're going to get the public money on Tiger anyway. So why not price him shorter? But I don't mind the DFS play as mentioned earlier, but I just think Tiger at 26 to 1 is one of those that I think you're better off doing something else in terms of the betting market. I don't really have anybody up here that like really catches my eye. I start to look in the 40 to 1 range. Berger kind of pops to me. Woodland at 45 to 1 pops to me. Abe Answer at 50 to 1 pops to me. Where do you kind of start seeing some names that make you go, okay, I might have to take a look at that?
See, we think a little bit different when it comes, because I want to always, like, I would love to always hit a 40 to 1 to 50 to 1, or even a whatever 125 to 1. But if we're talking about guys that can win, for the most part, week in and week out, they're probably going to be within that 40 to 1 and less number. Like, I don't know the data behind that, but I would bet that would be the
I don't
case.
know. Yeah, okay.
I would think historically that would be the case. So I don't just throw out a guy because he's 20 to 1 or whatever. Like, so for instance, like a John Rahm at 20 to 1, I think is a pretty good play. I like that at 20 to 1. I think he's a guy that normally would be a little bit shorter than that. I like him there. I like Xander, who you mentioned, from a DraftKings standpoint, at 22 to 1. He's certainly a guy that could win. And then right there, we just saw in third place last week, Victor Hovland, who's just playing as, one of the best players in the world right now from a standpoint of, how he's been playing since the break. At 25 to 1, I like that. So from the shorter end bets, if, I want to look at guys like that, I do like Rahm at 20 to 1, Xander at 22, and Hovland at 25. And I actually don't mind Tiger at 26. Like, I thought he'd be like 15 to 1 or something. I mean, like, no entire, like,
yeah.
It's only like, let's just say he had played a few events leading up to this and played well. Like, he might have been a lot shorter than that. And so, because I think the odds for him, there's pricing in uncertainty, which if you're gonna take a bet on Tiger, you want it when there's uncertainty than when there's like 3 events that he's played in a row where he's finished top 10 or something.
Well, he's not playing 3 events in a row. He hasn't done that in a couple of years, but
whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, where you have a little more form out of Tiger. So I don't really mind that bet. As far as like in the middle range, I went sort of, when you talked about we were going to go with, a little segment on these bets, I kind of went short, middle, and long. For my middle range, I liked Abe Answer. You mentioned I like Finau at 55 to 1. Answer, by the way, at 50 to 1. I like Paul Casey a lot at 70 to 1. I think he's a good play. And then a guy that I mentioned in DraftKings in DFS at 90 to 1, Poulter. So those were the kind of the 4 guys that I went in this. So what I'd call middle. 90s maybe a little bit in the longer range, but so those are the guys that I like there. That just guys that came to mind looking at these early odds on them. I think are worth a play.
I mean, anybody that's followed the Tour Junkies long enough knows that DB has the DB's Big Balls betting card, and it's because I don't. If I'm going to put the money out there, I would just rather go big or go home attitude. And that's fine. And like some listeners may kind of relate to that more than others. And some may kind of, look at what Pat's doing and go a little shorter. And I think that's fine too. I mean, obviously, this is a really stacked field. So I just don't get, I bet for fun. I bet for entertainment. I bet for that reason. And so for me, I appreciate the entertainment value of having more horses in the stable at longer numbers that I have the potential to hit than just, throw. And that's just my style. That's just me. Like it may not be profitable over the long term. It may not be
both of us. And for me, if I'm going to take a longer guy, I'm going to bet less money. If I'm going to take a guy, let's just say like John Rahm at 20 to 1, I'm going to put more money on that, obviously, because I have a little more confidence that he could win. Yeah. And that, I'm going to get, let's just say I put $20 on him at 20 to 1. I'm liking, my return there, so.
Yeah. And I mean, of those shorter guys you mentioned, I like throwing down on Rahm and Xander. I like that. That's just not, when you hear us talk about bets, when you see us write up about bets, like that's just kind of where I like to live. You mentioned Casey. I also had him written down at 70 to 1. And then Billy Ho at 80 to 1 interests me a little bit. I wanted to ask you about 2 names, both at 125 to 1. Would you rather have Corey Connors or Kevin Kisner right now at Muirfield Village at 125 to 1, if you could only pick one? Obviously, Corey played last week, finished, okay. Kis did not, coming off of a pretty good finish at the Rocket Mortgage, I believe it was. Who would you rather have?
So I wrote down 3 guys in this range that were over 100 to 1, and Corey Connors was not one of them, but Kisner was.
Okay.
So I
So
would
he caught your
probably,
eye.
so then I have to say that Kiz is the guy that caught my eye, and I would go at him, coming off a third place finish a couple weeks ago. I think Kiz is a pretty decent play here at 125 to 1. So he would be the one. I'd go him over Connors.
There were a few matchups I kind of found interesting on DK Sportsbook. I'll talk through those a little bit. One was Rory at plus 110 to Justin Thomas at minus 137. To me,
yeah,
I mean, I kind of would have expected a minus 110, minus 110. Like I was shocked to see Rory at plus money to JT, despite JT nearly winning. It's still Rory McIlroy. That was a little tough there. Also, I thought it was interesting that Tiger is minus 120 over Brooks at plus 100, which I think backs the Brooks fade that we like. Apparently, DraftKings Sportsbook agrees that there's just not the consistency. The iron play is just not there with Brooks. I just thought that was kind of a telling line. But I think I would actually bet that line. I think I would bet Tiger on that line. I'd be less likely to take Tiger at 26 to 1, but I think I might take Tiger at minus 120 over Brooks. I thought this was an interesting line as well. Billy Ho minus 110 and Joaquin Niemann minus 110. I think Billy Ho's a more. I feel like he's a safer. I don't know. Niemann's been playing well since the restart for sure. I just still haven't bought into Niemann yet. I know a lot of people in the community
I
have.
if I'm like throwing in right today, I'd go Neiman over him. And
Would
so
you?
you're getting even odds against each other. So I would probably go Neiman. Another one up there that I thought was interesting was they put Finau and Woodland in a matchup bet. Finau being at plus 105 and Woodland being at minus 125. I like the Finau bet at the plus 105 over Woodland.
I like that too.
I think that's a good bet right there.
One more matchup that was interesting to me is Sabatini versus Glover. Sabatini's plus 100. Glover is minus 120. I think I'd much rather have Sabatini here. Like, to me, Glover's floor has always been decent because he's a tremendous ball striker. His ceiling, however, not very good because he just can't putt. And whereas you have Sabatini, who's been playing extremely well and who shows that when he's on, he can top 20, top 10, he played great last week. So I think Sabatini at the plus number to Glover is another interesting bet. And then I do have one, I do have two little top 20 bets that are short numbers, but I just think they're something to look at. Now, this guy we didn't talk about last week. He did miss the cut. Matt Neesmith, who's been playing pretty solid up until last week, I guess. He's 9 to 1 to finish top 20. The kid's got a lot of talent, a lot of ability, great ball striker. If you were wanting to throw down a top 20 bet, I kind of like that one. And then Norlander and Norlander at 750, 7.5 to 1 for a top 20, which I think he's probably, he's more likely to do, but I like him throwing down another top 20. He's clearly striking the ball really, really well right now. So it's just all about the putter for him. So if you want a little shorter top 20 throwaway, I kind of like those two at 9 to 1 and 7.5 to 1. Anything else for you, Pat?
No, I think that's it. Yeah.
All right, let's get to the final segment of the night, the putter throw, where me and Pat get pissed about something random, maybe golf related, maybe not. Pat, I will let you start. I'm anxious to hear what your putter throw is tonight, what you're pissed off about tonight.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know.
I was hoping you were actually going to go first tonight.
Oh, you're not prepared?
No, I'm just not as pissed off about anything as you might be. So, because you seemed early on in the show, you said you were really pissed off about something. So I felt like you might be a better place to start, and then I could just sort of come at the very end because you might be longer winded, and then I would just be like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm pissed off about.
True. I think I might rile you up a little bit in what I'm pissed about. I am pissed about golf course people that treat golfers like crap. And I want to speak to our experience in Hilton Head because we had some negative experiences in Hilton Head. We had some positive experiences in Hilton Head. Here we were, 4 guys on a weekend golf trip, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, playing 4 courses, trying to have a good time, trying to get out the house, trying to, go do our thing. I mean, what really pisses me off is when I think about the context of our planet that we live in right now, where everyone is, dealing with a global pandemic. I would think that golf courses, especially, would be businesses that would need the money, would need the revenue, would need the people coming to the golf courses, right? Like, I would think that would be something that they would welcome, and then therefore they would treat those people nicely. But there were just a few little things that to me added up to, like, just thinking about it. I was thinking about on the way home. I'm like, this is why new people who try to get into the game sometimes get turned away, because it's intimidating to begin with. Even if everyone at the facility is nice, it is an intimidating thing, because golf is a humbling game, and you feel like like, even I feel out of place a lot of places. If I'm dressed to the nines, right, and my game feels good, I still feel out of place when I walk up to a lot of golf courses. It just has that aura about it. And I love the places that try to break that, and I can't stand it when places just don't care to break it. So we go to our first spot at Palmetto Dunes, the Robert Trent Jones course. I got there early. I came from Augusta. We all come from different areas. This was the day we drove down. I get there early. I'm greeted by a very grumpy starter who was an elderly man who didn't want to be there.
He was grumpy. He was
grumpy. Okay. I am told, so I simply, it's 100 degrees. I said, "Sir, I noticed there's not a cooler on the cart. Where may I get a cooler?" I'm sorry. Actually, I started at the, no, I started with him. He says, "Oh, ask the guy when you check in, he'll make sure you get it." Okay, that's weird. So I go up to the pro shop. I check in. I pay. That experience was okay. It was fine. I pay and I say, "Sir, I need a cooler. I got a cooler with some ice. I got some natties that I need to put on ice." He's like, "Oh yeah, go downstairs. The cart barn they'll hook you up." Oh, okay. So I go downstairs, which, by the way, the old man is stationed about 20 feet from the cart barn. So the old man starter. Then I go to the cart barn. This really set me off. Young man walks out of the cart barn. "Hey man, I'm about to tee off in like an hour. You got a couple coolers I can get with ice?" "Oh, sorry, sir. I actually have a phone call upstairs. I'll be right back. There's a guy behind me. He'll take care of you." Okay. I hate it when businesses treat the customer that is there worse than the customer on the phone. Maybe it wasn't a customer on the phone. Probably wasn't. Probably it was like his girlfriend. I mean, this kid was like 20. Like, he was like 20. I hate it when I am in person, in the flesh, and you treat the phone call as a more urgent matter than me. And it just bugged me. So then the next person that came out acted like I could not have burdened him any more than by asking him for 2 coolers with ice. He, sure, okay, yeah. Like, acted like it was just the worst thing ever. Then the golf course sucked. We paid too much money to play that golf course, and it sucked. So that also just was the cherry on top. Harbor Town, which we paid
this was going
$260 to play Harbor Town 4 weeks after the RBC Heritage.
A piece. Let me make sure that's
$260 a piece. Before 4 caddy gratuity. $260 a piece. Now, it was in great shape. Okay. Tournament looking condition. The greens were a little slower than probably they were at the tournament, but great shape all around. Lovely golf course, right? But if those people in the pro shop, they were acted so put out by us from the moment we checked in, and we're not walking in there. We're not walking in there like hammered. Like, I'm not walking in there being a dummy. But they acted put out with us just by paying them $260. Then we got a garbage 4 caddy who did not do crap. I love having a 4 caddy because that means they walk down the fairway ahead of you before you hit your tee shot. And that means when I spray it 20, 30 yards offline, they can see it rattle around in the trees and find it, right? This dude never turned his head around. Four tee shots a hole, and the guy was walking to his spot and never turned his head around one time. Your brother almost killed him twice, and he didn't even move.
He did. Or at Harbor Town in general, like we've talked about this on the show, you have to hit fairways in the right spot in Harbor Town, or you're going to get screwed. Not what, like the first tee, like he could have been like, hey, you can't be on the right side of the fairway here.
Never did that.
Can't be on the right side of the fairway here, otherwise you're dead. I hit it dead. Well, the one thing I can actually do is, for the most part, is hit a freaking fairway. Hit a fairway, right side of the fairway. I am dead. I got no shot whatsoever. Like he could have just said, you can't hit it over there. I mean, but that never happened.
When you play Champions Retreat, you get a 4 caddy. If there are 2 guests or more, you have to have a 4 caddy. And on every single tee box, every time I've ever played with a 4 caddy, they have said, hey guys, this is what you got to do here. You want to avoid this. You want to hit it here. Don't go here. See you later. This guy never did that, ever. Not one time. Not on the first tee, not on any tee. But then the worst part. Now, I do have to kind of pick on Pat a little bit. Like, Pat loves to go into pro shops and just buy shirts and hats from every course he ever plays. Okay, he loves to do that. But he decides halfway through the round that he meant to go get some merch from Harbor Town, and he forgot. But that we are going to be cutting it close to when Harbor Town's pro shop closes at 6, and our round was going to be finishing like 5:50. So Pat, you try to call the pro shop and say, hey, I'm on the course. We're probably going to be done around 5:50. Like we're on this hole. Like, it's not like we just teed off. Like, we're on this hole. We're going to be coming in hot right at 6 o'clock. I've already walked through the pro shop. I already know what I want. I just want to come give you freaking money. I want to come buy money merch that you have marked up probably 50%. I want to give you money. Could you stay open for an extra 5 minutes just in case? And what did you get?
Oh, it was like as hard as they come. It was, sir, we stay open until 6 o'clock. Mr. Pro Shop guy, I know what I want to get. I'm gonna grab this shirt, and I'm gonna grab this and this and pay you money. Let me tell you what happened. We got there so close. The guy inside the pro shop was walking to the door to lock it.
Okay, this was when you were walking to the door, which I dropped you off at the pro shop. You busted it out of the cart, which was at probably, seriously, 5:57.
Yeah, it was like 5:57.
Because I came after you at 5:59. I was staring at my iPhone at 5:59, pulling on the locked door, and you were already in there. So you're approaching,
because I got in there right before, like he was walking to the door to shut it, and I said, "Got in here first, baby." I can't even remember what I said because I was probably a little bit tipsy, but like I knew he didn't want me getting in, but he didn't get to the door quick enough for me to get in to pay them $200 and something for a polo shirt and a whatever else I got. I think I got a hat or something. I can't even remember. But I
had to get Ben a flag.
It drove me. Oh yeah, I had to get the flag. It drove me crazy though, because I called him and I said 2 times to him, guys, we're on 18. We're gonna be there right before 6. All I need to do is walk in there and pay. And they would not. They were like, "We close at 6, sir. We close at 6, sir." And that's just terrible customer service. It really is. I don't know anybody that would do that. There's nobody in any business world to me that wouldn't say, you know what? These folks just paid $260 to play this golf course. They've had a nice time for the most part, whatever else. They're telling me, they're giving me a heads up that they're going to, come in here. It's right before they close, but you know what? It's not going to take any time. And yet we're just going to shut you down completely. I mean, that was one of the most frustrating things I've ever seen. And it's very pretentious. It comes from the pretentious golf attitude that we see.
Yep. That's the pretentious, entitled pro shop attitude of a lot of golf courses, unfortunately. And it irritates the crap out of me. And I think those courses need to be put on blast. If you have an experience like that, put those jokers on blast. Like they need to. Man,
on the
it ticked me
opposite
off.
end of that, like Harbour Town, as good as it is, and so they just think so highly of themselves that that's how they're going to act. Hague Point in Defusky was the opposite. They were fantastic. We show up on the ferry.
Fantastic.
Show up on the ferry over into, because you have to get to Defusky on the ferry. Guys right there with the golf carts ready for us. We go in there.
Making conversation, friendly, not intimidating.
The pro shop guy was fantastic. Pro shop was
a gym.
Like Tommy and
the bartender, Tommy. Yeah, incredible. The whole thing. And Hague Point was half the price. Now, we got a member rate. It was half the price. It was absolutely beautiful. If you are going to go play Hilton Head, go play Hague Point above any course on that island. Now, again, the golf course of Harbour Town is great. I actually think Hague Point may be as good, if not better, than Harbour Town. From even just if I take all the other Harbour Town BS from the pro shop out of it, Hague Point may be as good or better. Incredible golf course. You got to go play it. But that's my soapbox. If you have a bad experience with some of these places, like, dang, like I hate complaint. I'm not like a Karen, right? Like I don't request to see the manager at a lot of places. But when it's the game of golf and it needs to grow, and you got golf courses closing left and right, and you got people trying to get into the game, people playing Top Golf, and they go, maybe I'll give this golf thing a try, or whatever it is. We have people DM us all the time. I never played golf before, but I started playing DFS golf, and the way you guys talk about it, and I follow you on Instagram, and you're always playing golf. You got me wanting to play golf. Like, I can't imagine if I'm some hack that doesn't know what the crap I'm doing, and I show up to one of these places, I get treated like that. Like, that's wrong. It's freaking wrong. So call them out.
I agree. And you got to say something, or it's not going to change. You got to say something. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So I'm glad you went first. I just have a small thing that has just been, it's like a pandemic thing that's just ticked me off lately. I understand why it's happening because people aren't in their office atmospheres and they don't get to see each other and they don't get to do whatever and interact like normal. But I don't know when and why the hell we all of a sudden got to get on a conference call and show ourselves. Like, why do we have to be on video? Like, all of a sudden, like now it's like every conference call I get on, well, we want to make sure you get on your video. Okay. So turn on your video so we can see you and we can interact with you and whatever else. No, that's what I do conference calls for in the beginning. Like, I don't want to be seen. Like, I want to be able to listen. I want to be able to be distracted by something else.
What are you doing, Pat? What are you doing?
I'm working on something. I'm working on something. Maybe looking at my phone, doing some Tour Junkie stuff. I don't know. But it just drives me crazy that now all of a sudden it's like a requirement that you got your video on, which half people didn't even know 6 months or 3 months ago that you could even do video on a conference call. And now we got to get on there and I didn't.
Pretty sure most people.
I didn't. I never had Zoom calls and WebEx calls where I had to get on video and show myself. Like, it drives me crazy. Like, and it's set, and now you get it where like, well, we would, in the notes, well, we would really like you to be on video so that we can see your smiling face.
That ain't why they want you on video.
No.
They lie. They lie.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
You are lying. You don't want to see my smiling face. You didn't give a rip about my smiling face when you walked in the branch. You just want to know that I'm not at a bar or I'm not on the golf course or hammered or
when we used to be able to do that on the conference call. We used, like 3 months ago, we could do that. I could be on the golf course. I could be on a conference call and be like, totally, I'm paying attention. I'm listening. I'm participating, or maybe I'm not. I don't know. But like the thing of the conference call right now, this whole it's a putter throw for me. Like, I want to throw the putter. Now, if you come on a conference call and you say, all right, you can call in, you're fine, video's fine, whatever. Okay, I'm good. But I'm grumpy about video conference calling.
A video that is slightly unrelated, but a little related. A video that I laugh at every time I go back and look at it. We posted on our Instagram feed, I don't know, probably a year ago, but I still laugh at it. Is a video that somebody sent us where his buddy he worked in construction or something, brought his hard hat and his orange vest to the golf course so that when his wife FaceTimed him, he turned so there was like nature in the background, and he had his helmet on and his vest on, and he was FaceTiming his wife, and the golf cart's right there. She couldn't see it, and it made it look like he was working. Freaking love it. Obviously, you can't do that. You have an office job, so can't happen. All right. Well, that was fun. Putter throw. Call out your local golf courses that suck. Let's put them on Twitter. Put them on freaking blast. They need to get better. I'm not trying to get people to lose their jobs, but like people need to get better. It is what it is. All right, Pat. Great show tonight. Thank you to all the listeners. Thank you for the YouTube viewers. Again, go get that avatar. Hook it up. Get the avatar on DK. If you're a bubble boy, screenshot it. Or a bubble lady. We might have some bubble ladies out there. Screenshot that. Let us know. We will be happy to hook you up with something. Okay. May your screens be green. I'm starting to get a little buzz. We have the DraftKings show to do, Tour Junkies After Dark on their YouTube channel. Let's go do that because I'm going to talk to you about a few picks that I think I got a beef with. So let's go do that. Let's have a great week. Get in the Nut Hut. Subscribe to the Chalk Bomb. May your screens be green. See ya. Out.
You want me to stop GarageBand?
Yes. Hang on. Well, weirdly, we are still live on YouTube for some dumb reason. Hello, everyone on YouTube still. This is stupid. Why are we still here?
Are you keeping GarageBand up running?
This is awkward. No, I'm not. No, why would I do that? This is very strange. I don't understand. Hold on. Hold please. Hold please. Why are we? Why? Oh.